Hello everyone, Maxis here, and welcome to my Jungle Cup battle videos. Really sad I couldn't actually do the Jungle Cup meta-analysis and, just showing off the Pokemon beforehand, but get everything we wanted. Kind of ran out of Stardust and just also ran out of time with another project I was working on, but into the first battles with Rory. Rory, I was kind of glad to have battled against him first. He doesn't... I don't know how to say this right, but he is someone who plays, but his son kind of plays for him when it comes to battles. His son is, 8 years old, and he doesn't really play to win. He just plays to have fun, and I can very much respect that. So his team, you're seeing right now, kind of movesets don't really make sense with what you'd think, a meta team would. But you also got to remember, he wasn't really playing to win. He was just playing to have fun. And this battle actually did get me to kind of take a lot of things seriously. It got me to take Wigglytuff seriously as a big threat, showed me how amazing Beedrill was, and also just let me feel out some of my team was a bit squishier than I thought it was, and some of them were a bit bulkier than I thought they were before actually getting into the battles themselves. So it allowed me to kind of test my team in the field with a much more safe circumstance. So even though he wasn't really the most, optimized player, it did help me kind of gauge my team a little bit better, and am glad I went up against him first. If I went up against, say, one of my other opponents first, I probably would have lost. I didn't have my whole team field out and completely figured on how everything works together. I kind of put it together a bit last minute with the charm shake-up at the end. Really just kind of cracked things open a bit. But so glad that Beedrill was performing well. Beedrill was actually my surprise MVP, and this battle kind of was what showed me Beedrill was my surprise MVP, because I knew it was my best lead because it beat a lot of his team, and really only Fortress was able to stop it. But because his Fortress wasn't exactly, super optimized Fortress, it kind of helped, me feel out certain things, and also did let me realize Fortress can't really hurt Beedrill a whole lot unless it has Rock Tomb and I have a shield up. Also, very much loving the Heracross. Heracross has just been so great, and again, it also let me feel out my team, get a bit safer, and even though Rory doesn't really play, he plays to win. His son plays to win, and I'm very glad about that I went up against first, because I can very much respect someone who wants to play, not really to win, but just to have fun. So I actually started out playing, especially the Silph Cups. This Fortress, though, is what showed me Venusaur does not want to stay in versus Fortress. It can't do anything to Fortress, and I don't know why I shielded right there. I don't know why I shielded the Earthquake right there. Then again, it would have done a lot of damage to me anyway. But yeah, it's like, it also kind of showed me, this is one of the reasons I didn't want to use Vigoroth, and I'm actually going to be getting into this a lot later, why I didn't want to have Vigoroth on my team. That close combat is lethal, and this actually illustrates one of my points about Vigoroth. Vigoroth does not reliably safely win a Vigoroth mirror. It actually is very heavily dependent on residual damage, energy, shield play, and things like that. Heracross is much safer at beating Vigoroth. Vigoroth also can't take down Fortress in a shields down scenario. That's one advantage. Next, we got my buddy Dose. I really was looking forward to battling him at some point, and I'm actually surprised we got matched up so early on in the tournament, since I know Dose plays well, and apparently because of the way the rankings determine your matchups, we got matched up again for the second round, which we actually made a joke about. His lead of Noctowl when I led Magneton was super high risk, but it actually did pay off. Kind of, but not really. Vigoroth Body Slams are dangerous, yes, but most Pokemon actually can take a Vigoroth Body Slam, especially if they're resisting counter, which is one of the reasons I actually preferred Heracross, since I understood Vigoroth is very heavily reliant on the use of Body Slam to accomplish most of its damage. You kind of take away the damage from counter, you put a shield in there, pretty much everything lasts until the third Body Slam, because all you gotta do is shield one of them. Magneton, though, I learned was a lot glassier than I expected here. It really can only last against Noctowl or Poison Jab users, and it was kind of... I got this Magneton 2 days before we started the tournament. That was when I got this thing, about 2 days before I started the tournament. And I didn't have a lot of time to kind of field test it, work out all the kinks, and I was actually hoping for the Legacy Magneton in my initial setup. It was actually going to partner very well with Heracross, since the plan was bait in the Noctowl with the Heracross for Magneton to destroy, and then Magneton would bait in a Vigoroth or just anything that beats Magneton that Heracross destroys. They kind of play off one another's weaknesses. But I really had nothing else on my team aside from Magneton that could beat Noctowl. This will come back to bite me in the butt. This first match, though, I just played bad. Even with the favorable lead, I kind of jumped the gun on close combat. Had I gone for Mega Horn, things might have gone different, but we can't really change the past. Game 2, however, this is what I really like. This is what I really liked. The Vigoroth lead was, again, critical. Predicting Vigoroth lead because Vigoroth is such... Not to say anything bad about Dose, like, he's a good player. But a lot of people, it seems, have played Vigoroth in a brain-dead fashion where they literally just plug Vigoroth into any scenario, and it makes it very predictable because it's such a good lead, because it beats so many things. People kind of tend to lead it a whole lot, and as a result, it gets very predictable. The Send-in Fortress after that, I learned from Rory, do not want to keep Venusaur in against a Fortress at all. Even if I could spam a couple Frenzy Plants, I want to switch it out. I wanted to get it in there. So glad he did not shield that Heavy Slam. Things might have gone a bit different because then it would have been down to 0 shields. He would have only been down to 1. And now he's Noctowl. I really had nothing that can beat Noctowl again. Aside from my Magneton, I have nothing that beats Noctowl safely. Had I gone for Rock Tomb on this, I actually was fighting myself about Rock Tomb for a while. Then the tournament started, and I had Earthquake initially. I didn't want to change to Rock Tomb after the tournament started, because then I'd feel, well, I changed it to Rock Tomb after the tournament started. Anything, if I, say, win a match because of Rock Tomb, even if I didn't know I'd go up against someone that Rock Tomb would be good against, I kind of feel like that was a little bit cheating. Same thing with switching Mega Horn or Close Combat to Earthquake on Heracross. I was debating it with myself for a while, and I just didn't do it before the tournament started, so I decided I'm not changing the moves, I'm keeping them the way they are, and hopefully it doesn't bite me in the butt. So a lot of the time, I have actually wanted to change something last minute, didn't for one reason or another, and that actually turned out to be a big win condition for me. And as you're seeing right now, it's actually been a pretty big win condition not having Rock Tomb. This end part, the mirror of the Noctowl, was super close. When I saw he still had that shield, my heart just dropped, and he got that Sky Attack off. My heart just dropped. I survived with a sliver of HP left, and getting it right before he got his was just the greatest feeling. He would have been, if I had been one wing attack slower, he would have KO'd me. I was so glad that I was just able to, like, he would have beat me for one more click. The last fight, though, that first one was close, so was this last one, and I really love this lead. The lead Beedrill Mirror. This revealed, right there, the reveal of X-Scissor first, that told me he's not running Aerial Ace. That was my win condition right there. Because I had Aerial Ace, which no one expected, because everyone said go Sludge Bomb X-Scissor because, that's better coverage. When X-Scissor is good, yes. But Aerial Ace has better coverage than Sludge Bomb, as well as being a little faster. There would have been a resisted Sludge Bomb or resisted X-Scissor, as opposed to a super effective Aerial Ace. It also gives, yes, it's a little bit worse against Noctowl, since, Noctowl is taking less damage from Aerial Ace than it is from Sludge Bomb, but considering it helped me win that mirror match, I definitely went for it. Keeping Beedrill in that fight with Noctowl for that long might have been a risk. However, I did want to at least get him a shield down, so that way when my Noctowl came in, we would at least have a little bit of a better matchup in the mirror. Since I was up HP, he was down HP, we had even shields. I do not like mirror matches. I am not a fan of mirrors, and I always try to minimize them as much as possible. Good thing is I got his Vigoroth in. If I can get the Vigoroth in, I can trap and destroy it. Again, my team wasn't anti-Vigoroth. It was just designed with Vigoroth in mind, just being a part of the meta. Not, I have to counter Vigoroth with my team. It was just naturally checked by so much on my team. I didn't need a dedicated Vigoroth counter outside of Heracross. Well, Vito didn't beat him, but he got it into low enough HP for him to have to use Body Slam to reliably and safely kill it. And now Magneton. Magneton again. Magneton is squishy. Those were, I think, 2 counters, and even then it's taking a decent amount of damage from those Noctowl wing attacks despite the double resistance. Magneton, very squish, but what it does to Pokemon is it makes them feel very squish. And the third battle. This was fun. Mostly since we actually had about 3 days to prepare between these fights because we had to do them online. And apparently, both of us were really hard planning. Andy and I were basically running every single possible scenario out, trying to figure out what would be the best team to bring. And I actually figured out a trio of Pokemon that, regardless of the lead scenario, regardless of what he brings, would basically always win. Well, not basically, they would always win. It was Beedrill, Heracross, Fortress. Since even if he leads Fortress, I could just switch out to either my Fortress or Heracross, beat his, and then Beedrill beats everything else on the rest of his team, because Beedrill's just that good. The lack of Noctowl was so good, since it meant I was pretty safe. Now, of course, Wigglytuff scares away Heracross, and Vespiquen can kind of wall out Heracross, but it's not like Vespiquen can really threaten Heracross that much, while Beedrill actually beats everything else. And even again, Fortress really can't do much to it with Bug Bite if I have a shield, since I resist it and I can just kind of energy farm and then hit it with a pretty good Aerial Ace. See right there, Heavy Slam didn't really do a whole lot to me, and I was just able to farm up another charge move, but of course I wasn't able to get off the charge move. But now Fortress comes in to beat Lantern. And he was actually kind of saying that my team without the Vigoroth was a bit of a weakness, but one of my other mutual friends after the battle told me he agreed with my lack of fielding Vigoroth, since we both understood what made Vigoroth Vigoroth, and the resistances that everything had kind of just made it less good overall. Vigoroth is an auto counter. It does best against itself and against things like Noctowl and Fortress. Whereas Heracross beats Vigoroth and Fortress, only losing Noctowl, and again, the inability to bait in a Noctowl. Since he didn't have Noctowl on his team, I didn't actually need my Magneton. I actually did want to use the same team twice in a row, just because, again, it beat him every time. And after the fight, one of our mutual friends actually said if it was Aerial Ace, there was basically nothing he could do. He was looking through Pokemon Snap, which is basically our showcase of all our Pokemon, to see if he could find anything that suggested my Beedrill was Bug Bite during our practice. Practice was like the days before we actually battled. We basically were on our own, independently trying to figure out what would be the best team to bring to fight the other guy. And he was looking to see if my Beedrill was Bug Bite. That was how thorough. He ran every possible move set, and basically accepted if it was Aerial Ace, there's nothing he could do. And I am so glad I picked Aerial Ace, because the coverage is so good. It lets me beat Vespiquen, because Vespiquen only has Power Gem, which is slow, and Bug Bite X-Scissor, which is slower than my Poison Jabs, but can get Aerial Ace charged up. Wigglytuff just dies. Venusaur, I resist. Lantern is really the only thing that can kind of pose that because it's neutrally damaging me, but I can kind of outcharge spam it because Thunderbolt and Hydro Pump take a bit too long to charge. Vigoroth, of course, I double resist counter and can take a Body Slam. Fortress, again, the only thing that poses a threat, and Heracross and Fortress both delete the Fortress. So either way, I had a layer of redundancy to beat his Fortress. And again, Aerial Ace can do a bit of damage to Fortress. I was just... We planned for 3 days, and I beat him in 2 fights. He was apparently pretty not happy after this, because again, all the time planning. But it was definitely fun. It was probably one of my favorite battles I've ever had. And also just kind of illustrates I don't need Vigoroth to do well. Given Beedrill's very courageous performance against Andy, I decided it needed a new name going into our final battle against my good friend Aaron. This was definitely a battle that kind of unsettled me because he got this far, he's good, I've been doing pretty good, and his team also didn't have many of the weaknesses that people before had. A lot of people kind of had their team can be beaten by one member of my team pretty reliably, and while his team definitely did have, 4 Pokemon that all lost to Beedrill, he had 2 hard counters that invalidated Beedrill, so I couldn't just bring Beedrill to every single game and have it definitely win. My first plan was pretty much lead Beedrill in every game, and when I realized this guy is going to know I have to bring Beedrill every game, he's going to bring Noctowl or Heracross, Fortress every single team as their lead, and I planned on that. But I overthought things 2 layers deep and expected him to know that, so he would bring something to counter a Noctowl counter. And this is where everything just fell apart. Since I mind-gamed myself when he led Noctowl, if I just stuck to my original plan, and actually led Magneton since I knew he needed to lead Noctowl, or Fortress and Magneton actually beats both of them, I wouldn't have lost the first game. I also just played very badly this first game. You can just tell, shielding a Lantern Thunderbolt on Venusaur, why would I shield that? Why would I also use a Frenzy Plant against Venusaur when, against Lantern when I can just energy farm it, and when his Fortress comes in, because I knew he would have to bring Fortress as well. This was just bad playing. I mean, you see how much damage that Frenzy Plant did, and I got a second Frenzy Plant. 2, maybe 3 or 4 Frenzy Plants would have dealt a side. Again, that's 2 Frenzy Plants. A 3rd or 4th would definitely have done a decent bit of HP to him, and could have, potentially won some things. But I just let my nerves get way too ahead of me and kind of started breaking down. No shields going into a match against Fortress with Magneton. Also a very bad play. I really should have just kept Noctowl in there. Seeing, him beat that, I thought, okay, yeah, I can ease up, and then he brought in his Noctowl, and then everything just went south. Yeah, this was just bad playing. This was just bad playing. I was hoping to have scouted his Fortress and figure out whether it was Rock Tomb or Rock Tomb or Earthquake, and I found out in a way I didn't want to because it cost me the first game. I actually went and decided to lead Magneton the second game, just since I knew he would be leading something it beats shields up every game because it has to do that. And he actually told me after this, his lead was actually super close to being different. I was starting to lose my nerve. Like, again, you can see I'm starting to lose my nerve by going back and, rethinking, am I going to switch this, am I going to switch that? I was starting to lose my nerve. And it does definitely show. And had I not lost my nerve, things would have been different, as you will see. But again, very fond of my battles here. Yeah, definitely I started losing my nerve. And I was definitely prepared to be mind-gamed a bit, but I didn't. And my leading of Magneton this game was kind of me starting to steady my nerves. Had I just gone with this plan initially, which actually was my original plan, after rethinking everything. Basically, my original plan would lead Beedrill, then I knew he would have to lead Noctowl every single game, so my Neo plan was lead Magneton. Then I mind-gamed myself into thinking he's going to know that, so he's going to lead Vigoroth, or he's going to lead something that just kills Magneton, because going back to how squishy Magneton is, everything but Fortress and Noctowl beats Magneton shields up. Wigglytuff, Victory Bell, Lantern, and his Vigoroth, of course. So, the second battle was the good start. It led Noctowl, he went into Fortress. I was able to quickly discharge the Fortress before being able to duck out into my Noctowl. But, again, this wasn't enough to fully save the fight for what's coming. But again, I am surprised how well I was able to do in some of these fights, because the Rock Tomb on Fortress was my biggest worry. That was my biggest worry, and I kind of somewhat regret not shielding that, because I did a lot of damage. Heavy Slam does do a good bit, so it can Pyrrhic Victory Noctowl in a bad scenario, and that's what I was counting on for something else. And him hesitating, yeah, I was expecting Lantern, since it was the only thing that could take a Sky Attack and kind of survive, but I wasn't able to get the second Sky Attack off, which made me sad. But Venusaur I knew was his good counter to that, and Noctowl. Thankfully, I did have Magneton again. Magneton was good. It was very worth the 60,000 Stardust trade to send someone to Dialga, and then the 50,000 Stardust for the move, as well as the additional extra power-ups it took. He's not the best IVs exactly, but he definitely did his job very well in dismantling Noctowl. Again, this shows how good it is. It's fast. It's not double Legacy Thundershock Discharge, which I know some people say, no, you have to run a Legacy Thundershock Discharge. You gotta be that, Legacy move purist. No. You're gonna be out-energizing most things anyway. The extra energy you gain from Thundershock is somewhat irrelevant, since Discharge is already ridiculous low energy cost, and Spark also has the second highest energy gain rate, moveset-wise. And now it is time for the final battle, and I made the biggest mistake ever leading Venusaur. My original plan was just to stick with the lead Magneton, since I knew he would have had to lead Noctowl every game in order to beat me, and he actually sent me a comment after the second game, which was, basically nice prediction, and that spooked me. Because I know Aaron is not the kind of person to say something like that to get you to be misled. It was a genuine compliment, and that I predicted well. And that is what spooked me. It was him saying that, which got me to kind of down myself, like, okay, well, he knows I have to lead Magneton now, and the nerves were just getting to me. I was legitimately shaking, and that was kind of when everything just started going downhill, since he pretty much had me dead to rights right then with the bad lead. Fortress could do well against Noctowl, bring it down to low enough HP, but it really wasn't enough to truly salvage the fight. Since I was down both my shields, he still had one up, and his Fortress was still good to go. So it was a hard-fought match. He still had one Pokemon left, and I knew, shields down, I would not do well against his Fortress, because Earthquake just destroys Magneton, and Venusaur has nothing it can do to Fortress. There's nothing it can do. Yes, I understand in this matchup, Vigoroth would have been good for beating Noctowl, it would have beaten Fortress, but at the same time, that wouldn't have beaten any of the other Pokemon it would have had. Rock Tomb definitely would have won against his Noctowl, and just various other moveset changes would have definitely won here, but many of those other matches would have been different. And, Venusaur put up an admirable fight against that Fortress, and I don't really know why he went for Earthquake here, since Heavy Slam would have just gotten a killing blow, but he did win. He only needed 2 of his Pokemon. I am not sad I lost, since even though I actually had some of my friends rooting for me, and they said, we're rooting for you, been doing very good, and after Dos Ex gave me a little bit of a pep talk after I kind of was talking myself down, told me, stop talking yourself down, and that kind of gave me a bit of a boost to keep playing and do better, and that is what allowed me to basically do so well in the fight against Fear Me I Am Lag. But the last fight, I botched that up, and had I not let the nerves get to me, I would have done a lot better. But all in all, I'd say my performance here was pretty good. Even though I lost that last fight against Aaron, had I not let the nerves get to me, and I just stuck with my plan, I would have won. And that's actually a bit similar to what happened with Dose. In our third game, he actually said if he had stuck with his plan, he wouldn't have lost. And I actually told him after the fight, my original plan was that. Lead Magneton with Venusaur and Fortress, and he said, that would have been an interesting fight, and it would have beaten him. But again, this just goes to show, if you have a plan, do not ignore the plan. A well-laid plan should not be ignored. My MVP this time, I gotta say it was Beedrill. I was really expecting Heracross and honestly Magneton to be the power duo that kind of just won things for me, but it really was just kind of Beedrill. I mean, it destroyed Rory's team, which, Rory really wasn't, playing, to the same kind of levels again. He was just playing for fun. It destroyed Andy's team, which was hilarious. And it was very, very useful in the Dose fight. And actually kind of was also because of the Beedrill, it was what made Aaron in the final battle run both Noctowl and Fortress. So Beedrill, definitely my MVP. His performance at the end of the battle with Lag definitely earned him his new name, upgrading from Swarm to Praetarian. So he now wears his shiny new name with pride. Gotta say, Magneton kind of disappointed me. I was very, very excited about Magneton, and was it worth the dust I spent to get it? Yes, it's a Legacy Magneton. It's very good. It did have very good matchups in here, but it didn't really do as much as I was hoping. But, that's how you live and learn. Trial by fire tends to be how I do things well, and getting to second place in 2 cups consecutively, I am getting better. Friends for this. This wasn't just an effort of, me putting together a team and everything like that. It was an effort of my friend Dose, who kind of gave me a confidence boost after our battle, telling me to stop talking myself down, and my good friend Dalton, who actually gave me that Heracross that carried me that far. There's a history behind that Heracross. I'm not going to go into it because it's a pretty long, convoluted story, but really this was kind of a team effort from all my friends that kind of helped me get this far. See you guys next time, where we're actually going to be doing 2 Mirror Cups, because that's what my local Discord is doing. See you guys then. Sorry I couldn't actually do a Jungle Cup meta-analysis, there's a lot of factors that prevented me from doing it. I hope I can do the meta-analysis for this one, since I actually want to do this meta-analysis, and they're going to be much more polished, much more interesting than the Togekiss one I'm about to output. See you guys next time, where hopefully we start going over the Twilight Cup meta.